there was a moment where she did turn and then the player just clipped her leg. Penalty. It was in the box. I mean, I don't know what the ref was looking at. Welcome back to the Arsenal Humans podcast with me, Luce. Today, it's going to be a little bit of a short and sweet episode because I'm a busy gal this week, so not got too much time to edit. But it's been a pretty good week of football, I must say. I mean, it depends which game you're looking at. 2 games, brilliant results for our Schooners. The other game, not as much. But we'll get into all of that this episode. We've got 3 games to reflect on, and then we've got 4 games to look at. So a bit of a short and sweet one today, but let's get into it. As always, we're going to kick off this episode with the warm-up poll. And today, I just wanted to get your view. I mean, it'll be pretty weird if it wasn't this different in the results, yes and no. The question, before I waffle on, the question is Slagers to stay, yes or no? For me, it's an easy yes. It's such a big yes, and 93% of you said yes, you want Rene Slagers to stay with Arsenal. And to be fair, I don't blame you, because I think if you've got any view, I want to know what these 7% are thinking right now, because you're either from a different club or you've maybe got your mindset on someone else. I know for quite a few people they kind of want a Casey Stoney in. There's been a few other names rumoured, but I just feel like Rene Slagers, she knows the club. She's been there with Jonas since he was there, and then she's taken over. And some little stats for you. She's in her 8 games of her being the interim manager. She's got 7 wins, 1 draw, and 6 clean sheets. And I must say that these clean sheets aren't just a 1-0, a 2-0. Most of them are actually 4-0, 4 or 5-0. So it's really impressive to see that Slagers has done that. She's got 3 games left of the year. It has been announced that Slagers will be staying with Arsenal until the end of the year, and I wish it was the end of the season, but she said that Arsenal are doing a really good job. I don't know what that means, because I haven't obviously found anyone yet. But I'm assuming it means that they're really on the hunt for someone new. I don't understand why. Personally, if I was the owner at Arsenal, I'd be like, or if I was any influence at Arsenal, I'd be like, keep this woman in this job. So yeah, we'll just have to see. But honestly, Slagers being in charge, it makes me happy. I feel like the players seem happier. The performances have been a lot better since it's just been her. There's been changes, just the way she operates the team when she makes the subs, who she starts, just everything about the cohesion. She's testing new things with different players up front. I just love it. So I'm very much here for it. And her football is the reason that I'm so happy that on Sunday I went to see the women's side, because let me tell you, that was a better game than what I saw on my phone and through the highlights of the men's game. But before I get too far and jump straight into the end of the week, we need to actually focus on the beginning of the week. So that is the warm-up poll. And yeah, let's see what happened during this week. Arsenal 2, United 0. I'm going to start off by talking about this game, because for me, you know what? Let's get a bit cozy for this. Obviously, it makes sense chronologically because that was our midweek game. But it also put a bit of a statement out there. I mean, that statement sort of got a bit destroyed towards the end of the week with Arteta's side, but it did put a statement out at the start of the week. And for me, it was a statement game. It was, in case you didn't understand, it was a statement game. I feel like I've said statement so many times. But yes, we are corner FC, and every time we got a corner, best believe I was thinking, oh, it's going in. Because most, like 7-8 times out of 10, it would have gone in. I mean, Timber and Saliba were the ones to get on the score sheet. Timber, great header. Obviously, we were missing Gabriel in the games this week due to injury. I was also missing him in my FPL team. My FPL team, I don't even want to talk about that, because my team, the fact that Merseyside didn't happen, I had Salah in there as captain. I mean, every player I had, I feel like was either not playing, injured, played for like 10 minutes. It was a bit of a joke, my team this week, whereas last week I was buzzing. So, slightly different vibe. But anyways, back to the game. Yeah, Timber scored a header, and obviously we've seen recent games, Gabriel, that's been his role. So it's good to show that we have a variety of players. And I reckon if Gabriel did play, he probably would have scored as well. Saliba's goal was quite funny because it almost just rebounded off the back of him. one way to score a goal. And I mean, to be fair, it just sort of added to the atmosphere, added to the vibe that we were winning against United. So that was really good. Raya's save also did keep that clean sheet, and I think the clean sheets are so important because although United have just got Amarim in, we're showing that you might have this new manager. He seems good. I get good vibes from him. I know all the United fans that I've spoken to get good vibes from him, but we're showing that you still can't get past us right now. So that is a really good position to be in, and puts us further up the table. So can't complain too much. I did predict it to be a 2-1 because I was slightly wary and hesitant that Amarim's coming in and the players are starting to get back in form under him. They seem to be responding well to his presence. So I was sort of thinking, oh, this could have gone either way. I'm just happy we managed to keep that clean sheet. And to be fair, my prediction wasn't even that far off what actually happened. So pretty proud of myself for that one. So yeah, not too much to say about the game. I feel like we had a strong performance. I do feel like we need to be a little bit clinical in certain spaces, but as a whole, can't really complain. We got the points, and that was all we needed. Shame we couldn't get the points later on in the week. On Sunday, we drew to Fulham. It was 1-1, and I was at the Arsenal game, the women's game, which in my head right now, the better game to be at for sure. So I'm basically just going off highlights and what I've heard and the notifications I was getting. Watching the women's game, I think it was 2-0 at this point. Looked at my phone and suddenly I was like, oh my god, it's 1-0. There was a few men as well, shout out to them just in front of me, that were literally like screaming and shouting whenever the men's side would score or when we were losing or whatever. But obviously it went 1-0 and they were like, and then I was like, what, like, why are they reacting like this? Because I looked at the game and I thought nothing like shocking is happening. Then I looked at my phone and realised it was because they scored. And looking back at the goal, I kind of do have to put a bit of blame on Kivior. I do think because obviously Gabriel wasn't in the squad, it meant that our defensive line had to shift over slightly to cover his space. But Kivior, a couple of seasons ago, I thought he was promising. He's got that aerial ability because he is quite tall. But now I just feel like his defending just didn't cut it. I mean, obviously because they literally scored. I think he just kept his player on side and then didn't track back enough. By the time Saliba tried to run past to get an interception, the shot was already taken, so the goal was already in. So a bit late on that one, but at least we did get the equaliser. It was from Saliba again, another set piece finish, and we are known as Corner FC. We're definitely Corner FC. We're definitely set piece FC. Whatever you want to call us, that is us. And it is quite a cool trademark to have. I think other teams are a little bit threatened by it. I know that whenever we get a corner, attacking or defending, I know we've got it under control. So it's a good position to be in, definitely, as a Gooner. There was a winner that Saka got, but sadly it was called offside. I mean, VAR took, 10 years it looked like to actually make a decision. And I do feel like, let me know down in the comments actually, I do feel like VAR is one of them controversial things. It's not the WSL, and I'll get onto that later on in a bit, but there were some decisions in the game on Sunday that I feel like if there was VAR, they would have gone our way and we could have won by more goals. But in this case, it's just frustrating that it is in the men's game because, it called a goal off that would have secured us the 3 points, and now we're behind Chelsea in the league. It's Liverpool, Chelsea, Arsenal, and then Manchester City. So it's good that we're ahead of City, but with their recent form, if we weren't, I'd be concerned. So bit of a weird position to be in. I am frustrated it didn't happen, and I'm gutted that we just got the draw. But to be honest, I'm just happy that we equalised because for most of the game when I was watching the women's side, I was like, oh my god, the men haven't even scored. So, I'm just happy that we managed to get at least 1 point from that game. Not really sure if we deserved any more because I'm obviously just going based off highlights. They were mostly us. The highlights, mostly our domination, but I think with Fulham's goal, it was their first attack, the first goal of the game. So it was that sort of, they were very clinical with it. So maybe that's something we consider out of the blocks. We need to be more like. But one team on Sunday that actually was out of the blocks straight away, getting on that score sheet, was Arsenal women. And a 4-0 win, I don't think does it justice. In my opinion, it should have been at least 7 or 8-0. I mean, I did predict for this game. Oh, actually, going back to the other one, just looked at my phone. I predicted the other game against Fulham to be 3-0 win, and obviously it didn't turn out like that. So this is why sometimes predictions are actually just crazy because you don't know what's going to happen on the day. But going back to the Arsenal women's game, I predicted on my podcast for it to be 2-0. But then just before the game, a couple of people were doing some Vox Pops, and I was like, oh, I think 5-0. I'm feeling very good about this game. And 4-0, somewhere in the middle of that, I'm feeling pretty good with my predictions. Russo got 2, Mead got 1, and Blackstenius got 1 as well, which makes me happy that it's a variety of players, but also the fact that Russo got 2, I think personally she should have got a hat-trick. There was a moment where she went down, her turning today, I mean, she got player of the match, unreal player, but her turns today, when she'd get the ball and receive it, if I was a defender, I wouldn't know which way she was going. Sometimes she was chopping it left, chopping it right, then putting it through her legs, sometimes just passing, relaying it off, and then running around the play. She was everywhere. She was actually so much everywhere that I see her as a striker, and I feel like most people see her as a striker, like such an attacking player. But today, she was basically sitting in deep. It felt like she was basically a midfielder. She was operating as a midfielder today, which sort of shocked me. But then it helped the flow so much, and she obviously found the net twice. So can't complain too much. Very much deserved that clean sheet. There was a moment where she did turn, and then the player just clipped her leg. Penalty. It was in the box. I mean, I don't know what the ref was looking at because we all saw that. And if we had VAR, maybe we would have got 5-6-0. Russo would have got her hat-trick. But a different day, a different ref. But at least the game went our way as a whole. So really can't complain about that one. It was a great game to be at. The atmosphere is good. There were just under 30,000 people there, which is great to see, especially when, don't understand the scheduling, but especially when there's so many people that would have been at the pubs or at the Arsenal men's game as well, because they're at exactly the same time. It's good to get this much support for the women's side, maybe because it was still in London, obviously both the men and women's game. And like me, I felt like there was a few fans checking their phone just to see the men's game, but obviously fully focused on what is happening in front of them, which obviously was a very, very successful game. In my opinion, Slagers has got to stay. I don't understand if she goes. Makes no sense. All we know is that we've got her for the next 3 games, and 2 of those games are actually coming up next week. So let's take a look at those games as well as the other 2 for the men. It is actually crazy how much you can fit in when you don't waffle, because we are already at the final part of this episode, which is the predictions. It's crazy as well. It's just a crazy day, but another thing that is crazy is that every week since I've done this podcast, there's always been at least, I mean, this is the 6th episode, and every week the last couple months, there's always been at least 2 games, even if one of the teams is on the international break. But the fact that this week there are 4 games is crazy. I mean, we are lucky that both the men and women are competing in both, obviously, the Prem or WSL and also the Champions League. So we do have a lot of fixtures that are available, but the fact that we've got 4 in 1 week, I mean, we've got a game on Wednesday, we've got a game on Thursday, a game on Saturday, and a game on Sunday. That is 4 games in 1 week. It is mental. So being a Gooner right now, you've got a lot to watch, whether you can get to the games or not, because most of these fixtures are away, actually. But anyways, I'm just going to quickly run through these games, my predictions, a little bit about what I think. This is a very brief episode, so I hope it doesn't feel too rushed as a listener. The first game on Wednesday is Arsenal versus Monaco in the Champions League, and I'm going to go with a 2-1 win. I don't want to get too complacent. I think it seems like a fairly even game. Monaco just below us in the table, and I feel like because we've got the home field advantage, that should definitely help us out. Obviously, we are entering on the back of a draw, so I feel like that can either go one of 2 ways. We can either think, right, we've got to get ourselves together, we've got to sort ourselves out, or we could suddenly just be left in that rut. But I think with Arteta, you've seen him do it before. He picks a team up and somehow we end up getting that result. I do feel like Champions League games under the lights at the Emirates is going to be unreal if any fans are going, and with the support behind the boys, I do feel like we can do it. So I'm hoping anyways. So that will make it 2-1. So that's the first game of 4 this week. The second game of the week is the following day. It's on Thursday evening, and it is an away fixture for Slager's side. So Arsenal will be travelling to face Vålerenga, and I'm going to go with a 3-0 win for Arsenal. I mean, last time we played them, it was a 4-1 win. It was a home game. But I think recently DVD in goal, she's unreal. There's no question about it. I think these clean sheets, yes, you've got to look at the manager, yes, you've got to look at our attacking players because they're getting the goals, but maintaining that clean sheet, she's had so many crucial saves. The same for Raya, to be fair, in the men's team, and I feel like she's going to be able to keep that clean sheet. I want to say it's going to be a higher scoring game, but I think at this point we're on a momentum. We're running with it. We can get as many goals as we want, but I just feel like away fixture, we do need to sort of. It'll be interesting to see what players she does play and when subs are made, because obviously we would have had a game a few days before and we've got a game a few days after, so it'll be an interesting one to navigate. But I'm going to go with 3-0. I think it's going to be a comfy game. Then there's so many games to get through, getting out of breath with this one. Then the men's second game of the week is on Saturday. They will come up against Everton. It's a home game in the Premier League, and I want to go with a nice comfy 2-0. I think Everton have had a bit of mixed form recently. Obviously their Merseyside derby got cancelled, so they haven't actually played for a couple of weeks now, which we can definitely use in our advantage, and it'll be a good game, just to hopefully, it'll be a good game to get the goal difference up a lot. I feel like we could get a lot of goals out of this, but I predicted a 3-0 and we drew through. I predicted a 3-0 against Fulham and we drew 1-1. So I'm not looking to, get a bit over. I'm not looking to get a bit, ahead of myself with this one. So I'm gonna stick with a nice comfy 2-0 win. And then the final game of the week, which is going to be up at Liverpool when Arsenal women face Liverpool women on Sunday in the WSL, and I'm going to go with a cheeky 3-0 win for that one as well. I'm thinking the women's side will be able to keep their clean sheets this week, get 6 goals in total. I think we're entering this in a very positive light. We've just won 4-0 at the weekend, obviously, as I've said previously in this episode, against Aston Villa, which is a side that, yes, their form had dropped off, and they're not the team they were before, but they still had great players like Rachel Daly, Jordan Nobbs on that pitch, and we still managed to get 4 goals out of them whilst keeping that clean sheet. Whereas if you look at the flip side, Liverpool just lost 4-0 to Manchester United at the weekend at the very same moment. So I think all I need to say is that we're going to win 3-0. It's the last WSL game before the Christmas break. So hopefully, fingers crossed, we go out on a high. Perfect. We are at the end of the 6th Arsenal Humans podcast episode, and I'm feeling good about it. Yes, this one was a little bit short and sweet. At one point I was like, will I actually have enough time to do one? But I thought, I'm enjoying this, and with the results we are getting, yes, some are a little bit questionable here and there this week, but as a whole, the results Arsenal are getting, it's great to chat about, and hopefully it's all right for you guys to watch. If you are liking it, please subscribe, and if you're listening to it on Spotify, then please just give me a follow, give me a thumbs up, comment. Yeah, just go crazy with the interactions. But yeah, I really do hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, feedback is always welcome about this podcast because it is a new podcast. Only been doing it for 6 weeks now, but I am enjoying it, and what a time it is to be a Gooner.